It's tough being an Army helicopter pilot. Mother always told me, if you want to fly so much, dear, why not go into civil aviation? You'll always be in a tie and uniform. Of course, I didn't listen, and was hungry for some adventure and adrenaline. Well, I have my share now. Not even a half a year out of the academy, and they're shipping me out to war. Maybe not war exactly. A peacekeeping operation. Somewhere in the Caucasus the government was fighting against insurgents, and they're sending us in to clean up the mess. Luckily, they're saying on the news, the fighting has stopped, and everything's been quiet for some time. So, it's supposed to be a safe assignment. The flight to Tbilisi was uneventful. They picked me up in a peacekeeper's Humvee and took me to an airbase in the area of operations headquarters, which is only about a 10-minute drive from the airport. After sunny Spain, Georgia feels more green and somehow fresh. My war chariot was waiting for me on the flight line, a UH-1H Huey of the European Coalition Helicopter Squadron deployed here. They had repainted her in UN colors, dominant white with lots of UN markings. Captain Pedro Benito, who it turns out is the Squadron XO, was already waiting for me in the helicopter. From a distance, I could see he was quite comfortable slouching in the door gunner seat, the UN cap pulled low over his face to shade his eyes from the sun, and cigarette hanging lazily out of the corner of his mouth, slowly burning away. It felt quite peaceful. An open aircraft hangar nearby revealed the subdued voices of mechanics and their tools at work. Further away, a helicopter was running up its engine, slapping the air rhythmically with its rotor blades. Back towards Tbilisi International, where I had just arrived, jetliners whined and rumbled in the distance as they taxied and took off in turn. The Humvee that had brought me here had quickly disappeared behind another hangar. With nothing else to do, I started to walk towards the white helicopter. The captain sitting inside it appeared to ignore my presence completely, his head not moving an inch as I approached. "Lieutenant Gonzalez, reporting for duty, sir," I said sharply as I saluted and stiffened my stance. "No, you're not, rookie. Not yet," was the reluctant reply. "When we get to our station, then you can see the CO and report to him. You have your helmet with you?" "Yes, sir." The captain smirked for a moment. "Good. Then you're my ride there as well." Being so far away from home, it was strange to be met with this condescending tone by a fellow countryman. I thought, maybe it's the stress of active duty taking its toll. But it turns out it was much more straightforward. Captain Benito just wasn't known for a great civility. I wouldn't learn this until later, though, so for now, he was an unpleasant surprise. "The chopper was here on repair," he finally obliged. "We need to fly it back to our base." "What's wrong with it?" "Nothing serious," he replied with a wave of the hand. "A couple of bullet holes in the forward canopy and some other shot-off bits here and there. Not very comfortable flying with holes in the canopy, you understand." "You mean they shot here?" I fired the question before I could stop myself. "What? Never. Not more than once a day, anyway, and twice on Sundays." And having savored his triumph for a moment, the captain finally withdrew the smile. "Enough talk. Get in, start her up. Otherwise we'll be here until nightfall, thanks to you. I still want to make it to the O Club tonight." Captain Benito grudgingly reached for the floor to pick up his helmet, which was the same blue color as his uniform cap and had a white UN marking on it. "Wake up," snapped the captain. "This isn't flight school anymore. Keep up if you're going to be here. Move it now. Take the right seat." "Yes, sir. Right away, sir." The captain glanced me over with disapproval. "Rookie," he said, shaking his head. "No problem. I'll make a warrior out of you yet." We took our seats in the helicopter. The captain appeared to have left all of his earlier laziness behind as he quickly went through the startup procedure with seasoned precision. The machine came to life with a deafening whine, and the heavy rotor blades started to turn, moving the entire helicopter in slow, heavy vibration. "Gonzalez, can you hear me?" The voice came in flat and slightly garbled over the intercom. "They didn't exactly fill our fuel tanks to the brim." The captain knocked the fuel gauge with his index finger. "Try not to burn it all before we land at the base, okay? Since you're new around here, I'll take us out to the runway. You'll take it from there. Got it?" "Yes, sir." The captain took the helicopter off the ground and slowly let it slip forward into the warm autumn air. Pedro did as he said. As soon as we got permission for takeoff, he air taxied us over to the runway and gently set the helicopter down on the warm pavement. "Well, what are you waiting for? Get on with it."
"Well, what's the holdup? Let's go. Make sure you don't break my helicopter. I've just got it fixed. If anything happens to this baby, you'll be hammering out the dents yourself."
Alright, you heard the man. Let's get going. Hello, I am Pravaka, and welcome to the cockpit of a UH-1H Huey. Sorry for the long introduction, and an even greater apology for my poor voice acting skills there.
Thank God we're airborne, and I was starting to think you were afraid of flying. Turn to heading 305 and fly over the keep the international airport off your left side. And please try to avoid colliding with an airliner. Can't be too careful with a rookie at the controls.
Alright, so our lovely co-pilot there giving us some instructions. The course there. So, this is DCS UH-1 simulation module. This is the campaign mode that they've included with it. So I thought I'd include all the story, backstory, whatever, all the briefing stuff that went along with it before I jumped right into the mission. I intend to play through the whole campaign, and I thought, let's record it, bring you guys along for it. I do expect this to be a lot of boring flying from point A to point B in long stretches sort of thing. So there'll be a lot of editing, all that junk out, so you don't get bored of me just sitting here. For me, it'll be quite entertaining though. So this simulation is actually really nicely done, I have to say. I've flown quite a few simulators in my day, but I have to admit, I think this one's got probably the best flight model, especially for a helicopter. This just feels really solid. It feels like a spinning contraption of insanity that has no business functioning or flying, which is pretty much what it is. And that's why I think they did a great job. This is the Huey, as I mentioned. Most people would recognize it as a chopper from the Vietnam era. Did a lot of different things back in that day. It was a big workhorse back then, and it still gets used today. So that's a testament to how well designed it was. It is, however, being so such an antiquated device, doesn't have a lot of the modern day bells and whistles that a lot of aircraft have nowadays, like say GPS. For example, there's no sort of navigation of that kind. As you can see, there's no color displays or fancy electronics. Lots of good old-fashioned gauges here. And what that means for me as the pilot is that I have to do a lot of old-fashioned piloting to navigate around. In this case, I've got a bit of a flight plan to follow. Let's see, pull that up. I have a flight plan. Where's the whole map? There's the whole part of it. I gotta go across that route there. And to do that, I'm just gonna have to pretty much navigate by different landmarkers and whatnot. So for example, you can kind of follow that purple line, and you can see that it passes right beside an airport right there, which is the one we just passed by. And then there's a large lake right up ahead, and that would be what's right there in front of us from the looks of things. So I have to do a lot of navigating by scenery and landmarks and such whatnot, which makes for a pretty interesting challenge, especially whenever, you know, most aircraft have GPSs and other sorts of fancy things, especially like the A-10, for example. As long as the navigation is functioning, it's pretty much impossible to get lost or even confused about where you are. So I'm really looking forward to this. It should be a lot of fun and a unique challenge for myself. I've done a lot of fixed wing piloting, but not a lot of rotary, so this will be a pretty good time. So I hope you enjoy the ride, and well, I just hope you enjoy the ride, really.
Alright, now see the rivers joining up ahead? Turn left there to a heading of 280 and follow the river, and wave goodbye to Tbilisi.
Alright, so that's one of our first waypoints here. You can kind of make out right here where the river splits left and right, and left is about where our flight plan goes, and that is indeed where we're headed. So I thought maybe I should explain some of the instruments in front of me for those of you who aren't familiar with basic aircraft instruments. So starting up there, the one that says knots there, that is my airspeed in knots, obviously. Where that red line is, right above 120, that's pretty much the max speed for the airframe. It's not quite there. It's actually a little bit lower is where I keep it because, well, it's just dangerous to fly that close to the limits and rather bumpy indeed. That is the artificial horizon. Basically, you can see as I wag the aircraft a little bit there, it rolls and pitches so that even if I was in a cloud or for whatever reason I can't see the horizon, I can still get an idea of where my aircraft's level is. The alt is the altimeter. The sort of hours hand there between the 1 and the 2 is thousands of feet, and the long minute hand between the 3 and the 4 is hundreds. Did I do that right? Yeah, it's hundreds. So I'm roughly at 1,400. And the vertical speed down there is an indication of my speed vertically, as in if I were ascending or descending in altitude. With the needle being right below the 0 there, I am slightly losing altitude.
Follow the river closely heading west, and don't get creative with the navigation. The last thing we need out here is to get lost because of you.
Yeah, obviously he's got a lot of faith in my ability. It's true, I might get lost. Anyway. But yeah, so that's a very sensitive instrument to just give me an idea of whether I'm losing or gaining altitude. That is one of my compasses, but it's also used for different types of radio navigation. And there's a few other things, like that's instrumentation, which should pretty much be not a concern. The little deal down there with the ball, that's kind of to indicate side slip and other sorts of, it basically changes in momentum or inertia. For example, if I slide my tail out here, like this, and now I'm actually kind of headed sort of in that-ish direction, and you can see that the ball has slid out way to the side. Okay, let me recenter. Yep. Making life a little turbulent for myself there. Alright. Got a nice magnetic compass down there on the edge, which is a good backup. Always good to have a magnetic compass around. But yeah, there's lots of other different displays, a radar altimeter there, and the different exhaust gas, oil pressures, all sorts of different instrumentation. The stuff that you probably aren't worried about. Stuff I have to care about. Because when they go bad, I crash.
The weather report promised us some tailwinds at altitude today. Let's take it up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet, but not any higher. I left my oxygen and fur coat behind.
Alright, well that's good. So we're going to go up to about 4,000, maybe like 200 I'll say. I don't want to get too high because, as I said, I'm navigating based on following this river and other sorts of ground landmarkers. So I want to still be able to see it. So I'm gonna keep climbing here for 4,000 and retrim the aircraft.
Rookie, are you going to keep us crawling along like a turtle the entire flight? Step on it. If I have to find my way to the O Club in the dead of night, you'll be delivering pizzas for the rest of your deployment, and not from a helicopter either.
Aww. That'd be fun to deliver pizzas from a helicopter. I mean, come on, how awesome would that be? I'd like to order pizzas that get delivered to me from a helicopter. The neighbors might get pissed off. Who cares? They're not cool enough to order pizza by helicopter. They deserve to be annoyed. Well, he's impatient, which is hilarious because I can't... Well, I'm actually going reasonably fast. If I go too fast, the airframe starts to shake and it becomes quite harder to control. If I go too fast, then I brake and die. So I'm pretty comfortable with where I am. He can just sit patiently. The sun's got a little while to go before it gets over that horizon. Under that horizon? Yeah. Okay, so passing 4,000 now. You can still see the river decently from this altitude, so. Alright. So I'm happy with where I am right here. Hopefully we get a little bit of tailwind to help push us along, save us on some gas. Can't be joking about the price of gas nowadays. As you can see there, the airframe's shuddering a little bit from time to time. Not so much right now, okay. That could be turbulence, but in this case I think it has a lot to do with kind of hitting close to the limit of forward airspeed. There are just certain limitations when you have a rotary aircraft. You have to think about the fact that blade is essentially a wing, and it has to move across the air at a certain speed to produce lift. Well, on the side where the rotor blade's going that way, going forward, it's going faster, and on the side where it's retreating that way, my forward airspeed essentially is making it go through the air slower. Now, considering how fast those blades are moving and how slow my aircraft is relative to that, you wouldn't think that's a problem. But there is a point where the trailing edge of the blade doesn't get enough lift, and, well, things can just go really bad from that point. You can see I'm shuddering again because I'm pushing a little bit too close. It's just getting turbulent. So I'm going to try to retrim the aircraft to go just a wee bit slower, because it's a little uncomfortable to have the aircraft constantly shaking like that. Ooh, oh, wind gust there. Again, I gotta say, I'm really, really pleased with the flight model in this, because, where am I? Okay, no, I think I'm good. Because, yeah, I mean, you notice things like the wind gust and all sorts of little things like that. It just feels really good.
This is Gory. Stay with the river for now. At the next big town, we'll turn right to a heading of 280 and follow another stream.
Okay, so yeah, that's about exactly where I thought I was. We're now right there over the town of Gory.
Can't you fly a little smoother? My ass is about to fall off and my head feels like I'm having a bad hangover. Jeez.
Maybe you are having a bad hangover, dude. Well, I haven't heard a call-in from my little co-pilot here in a while, but I think right here where this river and the road seem to overlap each other in a couple of places, I can see that point just in that area right there, it looks like, below the 5. And so I think I'm on the right path. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, my co-pilot hasn't said anything in a while, so I don't know if that means I'm off the beaten path, as it were. Or maybe there's just no triggers or guidance for this particular area.
What do you know?
Oh.
You found it.
Oh.
I guess there is hope for you yet. Keep following this river heading west. Now that I know we're not going to get lost, I might doze off for a bit.
Oh. Alright then. So one thing I do want to do, just to make sure that I don't end up getting lost here, is down at the bottom of this briefing, it has a radio for a NDB 477, and this is supposed to be an NDB located at the airfield that our air base is located adjacent to. 477 it was, so I need to change that, and then no wait, that one. Maybe that's it? I don't know. Don't want to lose sight of my river.
Look out. Keep your distance. Separate carefully.
Look who it is. Pedro, is that you?
Hey, Daniel. Yeah, I just got my bird out of repair, along with this new guy I'm taking to base.
Fresh blood. Very nice. Lost it to Benzine for the night. Coming back tomorrow.
Have a good flight.
Same to you and the new guy.
There you go. Little friendly. Flying back the way we just came. So I guess that definitely means I'm on the same or on the right route. So I think I've got this dialed in right. You can see now that that one arrow is now pointed to the west. And that, I think, is the right direction. I mean, it's roughly the right direction. I know the airbase is somewhere in that region, so yeah, because this river is going to turn a little bit more to the west. Yep, I think I'm right about where the 6 is right now. You can see that the river now bends and is headed up that way. On the next page, somewhere along the way, it's going to keep going there before it turns and bends again. But once we get up to around this area, we're just going to follow it straight in to our air base. A little too far off the stick there. Bring it back. So hopefully we can use this large part of the river where it gets thick and it has a lot of splits.
I can already see the CO pouring himself a cold one. Why are we still flying? What's taking so damn long?
He no happy. Dude, you're not even flying. Why didn't you just bring a cold one along for the flight? I thought that's why. That's not what I'm hearing. You thought it was your designated driver here. Whatever. He's cranky, I think. He needs his papa. So, just for an update here, looking up at this river up ahead of me, and let's see if it will zoom without lagging too much. Okay, so you can see over here-ish, you can see where it splits and rejoins a couple times, over there. And over here you can see this little Y, where part of it goes off north and part of it kind of comes over here. I think this is where that Y is, right in there. And you can see it splitting and rejoining a couple times in here, so I think this body of water is where we're headed, which puts our airport somewhere over there. And I'm drifting again. There we go. There's our river still heading up in that direction. So I think we're still on course. And according to our beacon marker here, that is indeed the direction we want to go. So I'm not lost, it seems, for the moment, which is great. I should also mention that this is not my first time to fly in this aircraft by any means. I've done through all the training modules, spent a lot of time free flying, a couple missions to derp around, that kind of thing. I have about 50 hours logged with this aircraft on this sim before I'm doing this recording, so that's why I'm not crashing. Because whenever I first tried, the flight model was unforgiving. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours with other helicopter sim, but this model is just, it has a lot more detail to it, and it means that the punishment for screwing up is a lot steeper. Or I should say the margin for screw up is a lot smaller. It's actually been tremendous fun learning it and all.
Almost there now. Catesi is off to the right. The airfield is straight ahead, and our base is just to the right of it. Go ahead, straight in.
Alright, so he's saying that we're here. Aha. We make it out just barely. There is an airstrip. And he said our base is off to the right. I see a graphical glitch right there somewhere in front of me. So that's probably about right. Okay, so yeah, I pretty much got that right on the nose. I'm going to go ahead and start descending a little bit more.
What a sunset tonight. So, rookie, is my plane ready yet? We're still not landed? You are some partner.
Yeah. It's a Huey, not an Apache. Although it would be really cool if it was an Apache. I would not mind if they made an Apache module for this, for DCS. That would be great. I would buy that. Or Comanche. Or even a Cobra. Cobra is essentially a Huey made skinny and armed with a lot more big booming things. So I wouldn't be too far off of this Huey. Okay, so I'm gonna reset the trim for my aircraft here. And right there. And it's gonna cause things to get a little bit crazy there. Woo, woo. So basically, trimming this helicopter means that where the stick is centered, where the pressure pushes the stick to center, is changed so that the center point is somewhere else. So for example, I'm having to push forward quite a bit to keep the aircraft where I wanted it. And if I were to trim it, when I let go of the stick, it would hold itself at this point instead of falling back here or something. Well, the problem is my joystick that I'm holding in real life is centered with a spring, and so I can't adjust its center. The program compensates for this by just adjusting where the sim reads, you know, how it interprets or whatever, blah blah blah. But what that means is whenever I release the trim, things go crazy because my stick gets recentered. Essentially, it recenters it in a really off position, and means for that momentary loss of sanity. That's why I try to do it when I'm quite a ways out. I don't want to have myself trimmed like that for landing because well, I find it makes landing easier. I could continuously retrim as I come in, but I want to keep myself more focused on the actual landing. So landing is one of those things that I found to be a bit of a challenge, honestly. In this, you have to be careful because if you descend too quickly, you will enter essentially your own rotor wash and the turbulent air that your blades are making, and you could get to a point where there's just nothing for the blades to really grab onto, and then you have rapid loss of lift, which means you fall like a stone. And you would think the way to do that is to increase engine power, and that just kind of makes everything worse. And so it's a very scary situation. I've done it once or twice, more than once or twice when I've been training. Actually, I've done it several times, sometimes intentionally because I really wanted to understand what it is. That's kind of the beauty of a simulation. You're allowed to play with things and make mistakes. There's an airplane there taking off from the airbase. Who are you? That looks like a C-130 Hercules to me. As he flies off into the sunset. Oop, I'm descending too quickly there. Paying more attention to that guy. He's so pretty though. I'm actually going to come in a little bit. I want to come into the left side here because I can see out of my right better. And even though I want to land... Oh no, I got a tailwind today, so I'm actually going to want to do a 180 and land. So I'm going to swing up around the left side and kind of survey the landing area, and then turn around and come park myself.
Madrid, Springfield 2, request landing.
Romeo 2, Madrid, clear to land, winds 280, meters per second. You are signaling up for flight 147. Copy.
Copy, winds 280, 7 meters a second, second after 147. Hey Rick, you see those two hinds to the right? We should let them go first. What are they doing here? It's a Ukrainian detachment. They are part of our squadron. If someone needs a big, scary chopper flying overhead to feel more secure, we send in the Ukrainians.
I don't see any hinds. They already land? Oh, too much, but...
Finally, our base. Land on the helipad. Ours will be the second one, next to the hinds. Careful now. Don't make me sweat. Try not to blow those tents off.
Those are all other Hueys.
You see the lights below? People are having dinner already, with wine, I bet. And I'm still here sober. Hurry it up.
Ah, there's the hinds. Alright, now we're going to hit transitional lift as we slow down. A little overcompensation on the rudder on my part there. He said a pair of hinds, right? I only see one. Not about to have an unpleasant surprise, am I? I don't see another hind. I don't want to just hold out here forever. Okay, well, I'm tired of waiting to see if there's a second hind, so I'm going to go and land at where I think I'm supposed to land, which is going to be on this pad over here next to my fellow Hueys. So I'm going to assume that all these other pads that I'm over right now are for the hinds. If he does have a buddy that's about to land, I don't want to take his parking space, because the AI in this game might just be dumb enough to try to park on top of me. Okay, so here's the part where I probably go quiet as I try to finagle this thing onto the ground. Oh, I think I've overflown my spot a little. Yeah, I think I have. I have to back up a little. And there we go.
The Virgin Mary. We have arrived. Spool down the engine and double time it to the CO's tent to report in.
Whew. Oh, yep, sure enough. There's a second hind. I'm glad I did not land in his parking space. I guess I cut in line a little bit, but it's not my fault he took so damn long to land. So yeah, there we go. That is the first mission down.
It was successful because I am not dead. I hope you enjoyed. I do not know how long this is going to be after I edit it down, but I've been sitting in cockpit now for just about an hour and 10 minutes. So that's how long this mission's been in time here. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll join me for the next mission. Have a good day. Goodbye.